we are going to get started. First of all, thank you everyone who joined. Really appreciate it. We're going to do this quick. I'm going to tell you very quickly what Chambers and Partners has recently announced. They're offering new tools, and these new tools are brand new this year, and they can significantly help increase your chances of moving up the ranks, getting on Chambers lists. We'll talk about that in this presentation. I want to let you know I'm not a Chambers representative. My company is Berbay Marketing and Public Relations. We are a marketing and PR agency, and we primarily work with law firms, but other professional service businesses. And we have been submitting Chambers and Partners nominations on behalf of our clients for over 25 years. So we have a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge when it comes to chamber submissions. I could probably have a 5-hour webinar to go through all the things you need to think about with chambers, but this specific webinar, which is going to be about 20 minutes, and I'll have time for questions at the end, is only introducing the new tools they have just launched. So I'm going to get started. And just so you know, ask me questions anytime. You all know how to use Zoom. You can chat or use the Q&A function. So Chambers and Partners, they released 3 new offerings: Profile Platform, Client and Market Intelligence Report. You all probably know this as the Insight Report. If you're not familiar with the Insight Report, I'll explain that. And then in-depth overviews. So those are the 3 new tools that they are offering. Keep in mind, these are all paid tools. So you are paying Chambers for one or all of these tools. I'm going to go through each one and explain the importance or the significance behind each one and how you use it. But first, I want to talk about what's important about Chambers. So a few of you messaged me, but it seems like there's varying folks on the webinar of those that have been going after it for a long time and sort of understand what Chambers is all about, and others that might be less familiar. But there are 2 pieces to Chambers. There's the written submission, and there's your referees. So the written submission is essentially a 20-page application where you get to list out all the matters, both confidential and publishable, that you want Chambers to consider, and also for them to consider why you're so great and why you should be ranked. You can also submit referees, which this year is now 30 instead of 20, so that's a change. And once you submit those and they have their research schedule, again, for those that have done this, know how this works, Chambers researchers will contact your referees. They will interview your attorneys if randomly selected. They will review your submissions. They'll do outside research. All of this is part of their research in determining each year's rankings. The referee process is perhaps the most heavily weighted piece of Chambers. This is, again, you're listing 30 client types or people that know your work, maybe co-counsel. Clients are always better, and that they can call upon them to ask them various questions about the relationship you've had with them over the years. One of the really hard parts about referees is that since the beginning of time, Chambers has really shielded their process with referees. What that means is you are only told the number of referees that have responded. So if you listed Megan, Jack, and Jane, they're not going to say, well, Megan responded and Jack did and Jane did. They're going to say, of your 20 referees, 4 of them responded. And there's a lot of issues that created because you're bugging your clients. You have to go back to them and say, did you find the Chambers email? Did you see this? Did you respond? And some of them responded, but you wouldn't know. And Chambers really just sort of dubbed that as, this is confidential. We don't want, people knowing who responded if maybe they decided to pass. So that process has always been a difficult process. I see a question that just came in. Is there a change to the number of references specific to USA, or does it apply to other guides as well? Yes, this number of referees applies to USA and other guides. So it went from 20 to 30 this year. And partially what we think the reason why they went from 20 to 30 is because the response rate was pretty low. So across all firms, we can't speak for everybody, but typically a normal average response rate that we see is like 20 to 30%, which is pretty low in our book. I mean, we really want to shoot for 50 or more. So I think it was Chambers' way of giving people an opportunity to list more names and potentially get more responses. So this little transparency of not knowing who responded, one of the issues is, and this is something that a lot of people don't know, Chambers has something called a 3-month rule. So the 3-month rule means if, let's say I was a referee for law offices of Joe Schmo down the street, and their research period came earlier and they put my name down as a referee, and then several months later, I was also listed as a referee for another law firm. Well, Chambers will not contact the same person within a 3-month time period. So there were times where there might be crossover and you wouldn't know. One, it can be an issue because your referees are being contacted earlier than your specific practices or regions research deadline or research period. Or they just don't contact them at all. And so these products, which I'm going to share with you, really open up, lift the veil on a lot of this. And I have oh, okay, I answered that question already. Okay, so let's talk about, I'm only going to talk about the first offering, which is Profile Platform. So Profile Platform has something called referee management. This is, to me, the most invaluable piece that Chambers could possibly offer law firms. So what the referee management system does is it gives you a dashboard, as you can see here, of all the referees you submitted, who is the attorney that submitted them, and the category that they fall in. So for example, you can see who responded. So pending. It says no action required. We have not emailed this referee yet. The status will be updated. Follow-up. Follow-up means that Chambers has attempted to contact the referee, but they have not heard back yet. Please let them know that we're trying to reach them. There's also just a contacted, that they've made contact, but no further action is needed. And then error, which could mean that Chambers got stuck in their spam filter, or perhaps their email bounced. So this completely lifts the veil on what was a very confidential little transparency process. Now you can see everything that's going on with your referees and ensure that your referees are responding. So you can access this at any time, and you will see if your referees are also being contacted earlier than expected. So that's really important. So this just brings so much value to law firms. The other aspects of the referee management system that gives you some benefit is, one, you can swap out referees. So before, once you submitted your Excel spreadsheet of referees, you couldn't swap out. Now you can, and you can do that through the referee management system. You can submit referees early. You were always able to do this, but again, now you can see when they've been contacted. And we just had this with a client who submitted all of their referees early, and I see one of the clients on this webinar, so they'll know that I'm talking about them. But 2 of their referees were contacted early, meaning they were listed by other law firms, and we would have not known that if we wouldn't have purchased this Profile Platform on their behalf. And then, of course, you can see their research progress. You know exactly what stage they're in. You don't have to hound the editorial staff. You can see that all in your dashboard. So those are some other benefits for the referee management. So that's to us, that is like the cream of the crop. That is one of the most important tools that folks should be thinking about and considering purchasing from Chambers. The other aspects that Profile Platform provides is research analytics. So for example, some of the analysis it gives you is, you can see this is department rankings. So it shows you change in rankings across departments, people, practice areas. And so it will show you the change. One of the things I'm going to note here is you can see the potential category. They've now have this as like, we're watching you, you're on our radar. And then you can see if things maintained, improved, declined. This is just an easy way to keep track of things, especially if you're a larger firm. The other change is, now this is really cool. So When Chambers interviews, they randomly select attorneys at law firms to interview. And the way that those interviews go, let's just say it's a general commercial litigation space, is they're interviewing one of the attorneys and they're asking, well, what do you think about our rankings in band 1? And what do you think about our rankings in band 2? And who do you think is missing? And they're asking this lawyer's opinion on their ranking tables. And so one of the things that they're doing now with Profile Platinum is they will count how many times your firm was mentioned verbally in these interviews and compare that to market average. And that's the latter is really important. They're comparing it to market average. So as you can see here, this is an actual firm, and you can see banking and finance was mentioned 120 times, okay, their firm, but according to market average, it's 344. So they're stacking you against your competitors in this specific practice area. So that's really interesting. You get access to information that we've never had access to. Okay, moving on, the other cool aspect of Profile Platform is their marketing toolkit. So the marketing toolkit is like a dream for marketers. One is it gives you an image generator, so you can post quotes on social media. This is an example. It's Chambers branded. It looks really nice. It eliminates the marketing team from having to spend all this time and resources creating their own. The marketing toolkit also provides you a hub of editorial quotes. So this is every single editorial quote that your firm has ever had, and it's in one place. So you don't have to dig through years of rankings and try to, what was that one quote that was said about Norman in, 2007? This is all here, and you can use every single quote for marketing purposes indefinitely. So that's another interesting thing to have. The marketing tool also gives you a suite of badges and logos. So again, just ease and like getting things like, I want one with the name on it. I want one without the name on it. So you get access to that. And then the last two things you get under the marketing toolkit is a best practices guide. So this is interesting because sometimes for those that are new to Chambers, especially if you're at a larger firm and your internal marketing department hires someone new and they know nothing about Chambers, there is best practices guides that you can download that give just the entire overview of what these people need to know about Chambers. There's also guides for your clients. Not saying that your clients might read this, but it's also just sort of a good piece of information to have to explain to clients why Chambers is so great and why we always bug them every year for it. So this is another thing. And then you get 2 weeks early notice of your ranking. So another dream for marketers, because we can have 2 weeks to put together promotions and things for social and our website. So that's really exciting. Okay, so another thing, and again, this is all under Profile Platform. So there's 2 other product offerings I'm going to share. So this is another interesting aspect that Chambers is offering. So you can showcase your rankings a lot more than with some of the previous offerings that you have. So as you can see here, this is just the banking and finance section, and we did some random searches, but as you can see here under band 1, you're going to see a little Chambers badge under the firm or under the attorney. Okay, and so under each band, Chambers usually ranks them alphabetically, okay? But if you have a Chambers badge, if you have the Profile Platform, if you paid for this, you will come first. So it will no longer be ABC ranking. It's going to be those that have the Profile Platform, and you get this cool badge, and then everybody to follow. So it really increases your discoverability on the Chambers website. So that's important. The other thing that showcases your rankings is before, Chambers offering had a bunch of, you can buy expanded profiles for this lawyer, for this department, and it was a little confusing what you're getting. They've truncated the whole thing. If you have the Profile Platform, you get expanded profiles for everyone meaning the firm, your ranked departments, and your ranked lawyers. So there's no longer these tiers that you get this person and not this person. You get expanded profiles for everybody. Next is now this is another really cool, and this is where we get a little geeked out, is you can add unlimited articles, press releases, and highlights on your firm profile or attorney profile on Chambers. And so this is a pop out of one. So this is King and Spalding. And you can see that here, articles, highlights, and press release, you can submit an unlimited amount. Now, what's really interesting about this is it can also be articles by unranked lawyers. So this is not articles and highlights only pertaining to your ranked folk. It is also for your unranked people. So this is a really cool aspect of the King and Spalding. Not every profile platform has it, but they're utilizing it, which is great. Okay, the other piece that I want to show in terms of showcasing your rankings. So if you go to an individual profile of someone that has profile platform, you will see, this is someone, okay, Thomas right here, he's got a profile platform, and you can see in Thomas's profile, it says discover other lawyers at King and Spalding. So on his profile, it's going to link to other lawyers. Now, if you don't have profile platform, it will link to your competitors. So it says view other individuals ranked in this guide. So this is someone that does not have that. So again, an added benefit, but what Chambers is saying is that we're not going to showcase your competitors on your firm profiles. Okay, so that is profile platform. Okay, that's the entire. So when you purchase that, you get everything that I just talked about. And pricing, according to Chambers, is dependent on how many departments are ranked and how many people are ranked. It is. I think it will be. It will go up in price every single year. I know that they're doing multi-year pricing for those that are interested in purchasing this for several years. So I want to talk briefly about their other offerings. One, so they have renamed their Insight Report to Client and Market Intelligence Report, but they didn't just rename it. There's a lot that comes with it. So for those that know and understand Insight, now CMIR, the formerly Insight Report was basically a report into their research. So if you were having trouble getting on rankings and you wanted to figure out how to enhance rankings or what people are saying about you, you would purchase the Insight Report. What the Client and Market Intelligence Report is offering is something much greater. So one example is there's a much greater focus on getting apples to apples with your competition. So you don't get to choose your competitors, Chambers does. So they are choosing 3 competitors in the eyes of Chambers, okay? And these are ranked people. So if your competitors are not going after Chambers, it's a moot point. But they are in their new report, they are going to showcase why these competitors are ranked and why they are ranked where they are in terms of bands. So that is very, very insightful. The other thing is you're going to get personalized submission guidance, and this is from the researcher themselves. And so they will actually give comment on how you can improve your ranking for next year. And the Insight Report, what was formerly called the Insight Report, didn't really do that. It talked a little bit about what was on their radar, what wasn't, but it really didn't give that personalized submission guidance for the following year. So that's really great. The other aspect is that there's insight on referee response rate, but that's compared to market average. So let's say you were dealing with a 30% response rate and you're sitting here and saying, oh, that's pretty good. But they're going to compare you to your 3 competitors that they've chosen for you and tell you where those 3 competitors land with their referee response rate. And then you also get full access to editorial, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So you get to see what everybody said about you, and you can use that for marketing purposes. So that is also a great for marketers when they can take those quotes and all the great things that was said about the firm and the attorneys. Okay, last but not least is something called the in-depth overviews. So this is really simple. It's a mini treatise, basically. So what you're looking at is a ranking table, and these in-depth overview are going to sit on top of the ranking table. So for a price, you can basically write an article, and it can be a lengthy article for this practice area in this jurisdiction, and it is right of first refusal. So whoever secures that practice area in that jurisdiction maintains it. and it will not be offered to any other firm. And so that's kind of a nice little bonus in terms of getting some more visibility in a specific ranking table, maybe perhaps in a table that you're not ranked. Again, these are, so we talked about the 3 products. These are all paid product offerings that Chambers is, they're giving estimates for now. You can get them pretty quickly. The referee management is almost instant. I think you get it in a couple of days. Insight report, we're told, which is now the client market intelligence report, it usually takes anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks. So we would highly recommend that if you're purchasing that, you purchase it before you submit. It's really good guidance for when you're drafting your submission. Don't get it after. And then, of course, the in-depth overview, you can purchase at any time. So that is the end of, I'm at 23 minutes, a little bit over. I'm happy to take any questions. Again, we specialize in working with law firms. We've had over 25 years of experience submitting Chambers, so we know a lot about the process. But we are not Chambers representatives. So if you have any specific questions about these products, obviously contact the business development sales department at Chambers, and they can help you and give you estimates. So thank you very much. And I will, I'll take a look at, I see a couple questions, but I will answer them offline. So thank you for joining, and this is recorded so you can share this with your team.